Thank you. It is my delight to be here and to lead Seattle Public Schools, a city where I was born and graduated. So I think somebody asked me, was I native? Yes, I think there was 1.5 million Washingtonians when I was born, and now there's 6.5 million of us. So lots of people have recognized the greatness of Washington State. Some brief remarks about education. Actually, I'll start with one of my latest new reads, The Great Race, which is how automobile technology will change our future. The rush for autonomous cars and alternative fuel sources. Think about what life was like with no gas stations. Now we need electric power stations or alternate fuel cells on every street corner. My son is trying to figure out how do you retrofit condos to put in high-speed charging stations for people that live in condos, still want a car, but have no place to charge them. We in education face our own great race. I came from a meeting in Washington, D.C. Yesterday, escaped just before the blizzard. I don't think it hit Washington, D.C. as bad as it hit the Northeast, and heard from our new Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, and she was very polite, she was very cordial, and she was very much on message that we will make our schools great through charter schools, vouchers, and basically alternatives to what we think of today as public education. We're involved in a great race in Washington State in that the state of Washington pays our teachers at a rate equivalent to South Dakota, 49th in the nation. And we pay education funding in Washington at somewhere between 43rd in one study and 36th in a recent Wall Street Journal study. And we're under duress from our Supreme Court for saying we're the only state in the nation that says education is the paramount duty. So we face interesting times in Seattle. We do face the $74 million budget gap. Thanks to one of those rare moments, a bipartisan effort in Olympia, pressured by many of you in this room, I'm sure. We do have relief from the levee cliff, $30 million approved by local voters that we were counting on that would have gone away, has been restored to us, and that will help us undo many, maybe not all, of the staffing reductions that we were looking at. So, enough of that. We live in a great time in education. We are working hard in Seattle to prepare students for a global future. 10 of our schools are dual language international schools. Other schools are focused on STEM. We are a very high-performing urban district. For the last 10 years, we have outperformed districts like us around the nation and throughout our state. And at the same time, you may have heard me say that eliminating opportunity gaps is the issue of our time. So at a time when we know that 2/3 of future jobs will require some college, the equivalent of a first year of college for whether it's career or college, we know that every student matters, every student counts. It's a social justice issue, and it's also an economic imperative for us to prepare our students for the future. We are working hard on eliminating the opportunity gap. That's one of the reasons why I was delighted to unretire and come to Seattle. And we have great educators in our classrooms doing awesome things for kids. And we are learning together how to close those gaps. A number of years ago, Mercer was our first school to outperform, there's a statistical term for it that I won't be able to do, but they're a positive outlier. They're somebody that's kind of broken out of what you would expect statistically and is making a difference. They were joined by Aki Kurosi and Denny, and then we had 3 schools that were outperforming both locally and statewide. 2 years ago, we had 8 schools that were outperforming, and today we have 12 schools that are leading the way not only for Seattle, but for the state in figuring out how do we make a difference for each and every student in our care. That's hard work. Our teachers are doing awesome work in terms of being targeted, on-focused, relentless about making sure that students learn. Our school board has stepped up and kept a focus on this goal of excellence and equity for our last 3 years, and they provided funding. They put in place a moratorium for suspensions, and that has moved us in the right direction with a lot of social emotional supports in schools. And then this year, partnering with SEA and with our Principals Association, we put in place a district-wide effort on building positive relationships between teachers and students. Every school that I visit, and I'm in schools every week, and I visit every one of them at least once in a year, and there's 99 of them. And it's the high point of my day and my week to see the good work that teachers and principals are doing in schools. But I see evidence in virtually every school with regard to relationships. So what are we learning from those positive outliers? We're learning that when you have a high-quality teacher in the classroom, when you're targeted on the key instructional standards that are in place, when you have a team of teachers working together to look at student progress and doing something different when the student is not progressing. And then the new one that we're implementing this year is this issue of relationships. Olympic Hills leads the state in closing opportunity gaps, and African American students in that school, 82% of them say, I have a teacher at school that cares about me and holds me accountable for the kinds of things that we just heard about. So together we are doing great things. We can't do it alone. In this time of fiscal challenge for us as a city and as a school district, we rely heavily on partners. So Seattle is still a great city in the sense of the support that we get from the public for public schools at events like this. The mayor and the city of Seattle have stepped up with the summit this last year to work with us on how we can eliminate opportunity gaps. As I mentioned, we rely heavily on our internal partners with SEA and PASS. And then we're blessed with dozens like the Alliance who step up and partner with us each and every day. And as a result, I think we're at the forefront of this great race to figure out how we can do what education has never done particularly well, and that's to make a difference in the lives of each and every one of our students, including our students of color, which are now the majority of our students, not just in Seattle, but nationwide. That is our great race. I'm delighted to be a part of it. I'm delighted to have the Alliance as a partner in that work. I'm delighted to have the city and so many others partner with us in this imperative work to eliminate opportunity gaps and prepare every student to have them college and career ready. Thank you.